The grand ballroom of the luxury hotel gleamed under the glow of massive crystal chandeliers. Round tables draped in pristine white linens were set with fine china and polished silverware. The soft clinking of champagne glasses mingled with the distant notes of a string quartet playing in the corner. It was the annual Young Leaders Charity Gala, an exclusive night where business moguls, politicians, and celebrities gathered to support underprivileged youth. Among the sea of influential guests, at a table tucked away near the back, sat Baron Trump. At just 18 years old, he was impossible to ignore. His tall frame, sharp features, and piercing blue eyes stood out, even though he made no effort to draw attention to himself. Dressed in a sleek but understated suit, he quietly observed the room, speaking only when necessary. He wasn't here for the spotlight. A family friend had invited him to see this world from a different angle. As the night progressed, anticipation filled the air. The evening's keynote speaker, a renowned journalist known for their biting wit and no-holds-barred commentary, was about to take the stage. The MC stepped up to the podium, thanked the guests for their generosity, and introduced the journalist. Applause rippled through the crowd as they strode confidently to the microphone, flashing a charismatic smile. The journalist opened with humor, cracking jokes about city traffic and sharing a lighthearted story from a past gala. The audience chuckled, their initial tension easing. But then, the tone shifted. Their jokes turned sharper, targeting public figures, politicians, and business leaders. The audience laughed at first, until the topic changed. They turned their attention to Donald Trump. "Well," the journalist smirked, "we can't discuss the state of the world without mentioning the man who made orange the new black." A few nervous chuckles, a couple of murmurs. "Like him or hate him, you have to admit, he's the gift that keeps on giving, at least for people like me." The laughter was weaker this time. Some guests exchanged glances, others stayed silent. But the journalist wasn't done. With a mischievous glint in their eye, they added, "And of course, we can't forget his most overlooked legacy. The next generation. I mean, imagine growing up in a golden tower, surrounded by marble everything, while your dad tweets about world leaders. That must have been quite the character-building experience." The room froze. Every eye turned to Baron Trump. The journalist likely expected a smirk, an awkward shift in his seat. Something. But Baron didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't frown. He simply sat there, expression unreadable. The silence was deafening. Even the journalist, so bold just moments before, hesitated. They cleared their throat. "Tough crowd," they muttered, forcing a laugh. And then Baron stood up. The soft scrape of his chair against the floor seemed to echo in the vast ballroom. A hush fell over the crowd. With deliberate, measured steps, he walked toward the stage. The journalist's confident facade wavered. Reaching the edge of the stage, Baron stopped. He looked directly at the journalist. His gaze was steady, not angry, not defensive, just unwavering. Then he spoke. "Thank you for your insight," he said, his voice calm and composed. The journalist blinked, caught off guard. Baron's tone wasn't sarcastic. It wasn't confrontational. It was simply firm. "I've spent my life watching people make assumptions about me, my family, and my upbringing," he continued, filling in the blanks when they don't know the full story. "And I get it. We're public figures. It comes with the territory." The audience was hanging on to every word. "But what I've learned," he said, his voice growing stronger, "is that behind every headline, every punchline, there's a person, someone with their own struggles, their own dreams, their own story. You may think you know me because of my last name, but you don't. Not really." The journalist swallowed hard. Their earlier confidence had completely vanished. "What I've also learned," Baron continued, now addressing the entire room, "is that respect shouldn't have to be earned. It should be given freely, especially when you don't know someone's full story." A murmur ran through the crowd. "We live in a time where it's easy to tear each other down," Baron said. "Words have power. They can divide or they can unite. And I think we could all use more of the latter." The room was spellbound. Baron turned back to the journalist. "I hope this gives you something to think about." His voice was quiet. but it carried enough weight to silence the entire room. Without another word, Barron walked back to his seat. At first, there was only silence. Then, a single clap, then another, and then the entire ballroom erupted into a standing ovation. Even those who had laughed before were now on their feet. Some wiped their eyes. The journalist stood frozen, gripping the edge of the podium. The next morning, the story was everywhere. Barron Trump just schooled an entire room on class and respect. He didn't get angry. He didn't lash out. He just spoke the truth. A lesson in poise, grace, and maturity from an 18-year-old. The journalist issued an apology, admitting their joke had gone too far. But the real impact wasn't in the apology. It was in the conversation sparked by Barron's words about respect, empathy, and choosing kindness, even in the face of provocation. And as for Barron, he simply returned to his life. No press, no interviews, because he never sought the spotlight. But that night, he left an unforgettable mark.